Okay, so this is installing Kali Linux part 2. We've already installed the operating system right there and I created a snapshot, but now we need to update and we need to install guest editions. So now I'm going to double click on the operating system to boot it back up. Again, during the boot process, don't touch any key on the keyboard until you get to this screen. Now at this screen we want to select Kali GNU Linux and hit enter. It's going to boot the operating system. Again, your username is going to be root. Root is the name of the administrator account on all Linux machines. So we're going to type in root right here. Now the password is whatever password you used when you were installing the operating system. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to update. In order to update, it should actually start updating automatically. But we're going to double check that it starts. So we've launched this. Now we're going to come over here to this thing that says terminal right here. And we're going to click on the terminal. Now I'm going to type in apt-get update. Whoops. Apt-get update. There we go. And it should load. Read that. And it's perfect. Now you notice right down here, if you look down here, our hard drive's going nuts. That's okay. That's kind of what we want. The hard drive's going nuts right now, and now our network cable is going nuts. So now the network, see how it's red all of a sudden? So now all of a sudden the computer has started to download updates for us. For the operating system. And to double check that this is actually happening, we can go to Applications. We can go to, I think it's under Usual Applications. Scroll down a little bit in here. We go to System Tools, and then we want to go to, actually, we don't want to go to System Tools, I think. Utilities, System Monitor right here. Okay, so I'm going to click on disk write total right there. Okay, and this package kit should be like writing to the disk constantly right now, which it is. So you'll notice that so far I've 64 megabytes have been written, but we're going to keep watching this, and I bet that this will continue to go up. This is also using some CPU percentage. So what's happening right now is just this package kit thing. Up, look, writing to disks 1.1, and then all of a sudden it said, hey, system updates are available. So this package kit is downloading updates for the computer. So I'm going to close out of that. And now I'm going to go to Applications, System, Usual Applications, scroll down a little bit, System Tools, and then go to Software, and then we click on, okay, let's go Shopping to close out of that. Come over here to Updates, and it says some OS updates are available now. So I'm going to click on this. Okay, that looks good. I'm going to hit Restart and Update. And then I'm going to hit Restart and Install. So now this is going to take a second, but it's going to download. Again, we might have to wait for this to restart. I'm actually going to pause the video during this, because there's all these different things that we have to wait to close, and sometimes it takes a long time to restart this. So I'm going to pause the video right now while this works. Alright, I'm restarting. I'm going to hit enter on this Kali GNU Linux right there to boot up. Now it's going to be running this system update. So this might take a little bit of time. Alright, and again, I'm just going to go ahead and let this run. I'm not going to touch anything on my keyboard. I'll resume the video as soon as this finishes. Just going to resume the video right here. So it's been a couple minutes. It's still installing a bunch of updates. So you just really have to be patient with this and let this run through. Try not to surf the internet or do anything else that will take away system resources from your virtual machine. Kind of let your virtual machine do its thing right here. While this is installing, let me tell you kind of what Kali Linux is. So Linux is obviously an operating system, and the Kali part, there's like a lot of different, they're called flavors or different variants of Linux. Ubuntu is one of them, Red Hat is one of them, Kali is also one of them. And Kali is a security variant of Linux that comes preloaded with a lot of cybersecurity tools already installed on it. So rather than just downloading like a generic version of Linux, like Ubuntu or something, and then downloading and installing all these tools, we're just going to use Kali Linux, and that's going to give us kind of all the tools that we need in it. We're also probably going to download and install Backtrack Linux, which is another variant of Linux that comes with a lot of cybersecurity tools on it. So again, I'm just going to go ahead and pause this video right here and let it keep its updating thing going. Alright, so mine just restarted, and it took about 10 minutes to install all of those updates. So I want to boot into Kali Linux, so I hit enter right there. Hopefully all the updates are finished now, and the operating system will boot right up, which is good. Okay, remember our username is root, and our password is whatever your password is that you typed in before. Sign in. Okay, so now we should have updated, which is good. The next thing is we need to install guest editions to this virtual machine. And we're going to do that in the terminal. I'm going to give this a second to boot up. Usually you can see your hard drive working down here pretty hard. Kind of give this a second, wait for your hard drive to settle down. You see the green and red flashing. That's green is reading, red is writing. Kind of wait for your hard drive to stop reading and writing. Otherwise, because it's clearly busy right now, and if you don't give it some time, you're just going to be trying to overcomplicate things, and it's going to run really slowly for you. Okay, it looks like it's slowing down a little bit. While that's slowing down, I'm actually going to, I forget the specific commands, so I'm going to go ahead and pull those up. A lot of times I have to look up commands too. Okay, so we're going to open up the terminal. We're going to type in apt-get update. Give this a second to update. Now we're going to type in apt-get install tac-y virtualbox guest x11. Oh, it looks like, so I got an error when I typed in that in, but look, it tells me how to fix that. So it tells me to type in dpkg figure tech A to fix. Alright, so I'm going to type that in. Hopefully that sets it up. A lot of times with Linux, you do get errors, but a lot of times, at least with newer versions of Linux, it'll kind of tell you how to fix the errors that you got. So I got one error, but that's okay. I went ahead and typed in thing to fix it. Setting up. These different things. Alright. Give this another minute or so to update everything, set everything up. The default action is to keep the current version. Default action is N, so hit N. Okay. Now we're going to type in again. We're going to start all the way at the top. So we'll type in apt-get update. Now I'm going to type in apt-get install. Let's see if this works. TechY virtual box guest X11. Let's see, and this time it seems to have worked. So the last time I tried that I got an error. This time it is working, which is excellent. So this is installing guest edition. So rather than going up to the devices, rather than going up to here, I'm just downloading the guest editions from the internet and installing them this way. That way I know they're definitely being installed correctly too, because a lot of times the guest editions that are in here are maybe a little bit of an older version or a version that might not work with Kali Linux. In this way I definitely know that they will work. I'm going to go ahead and pause the video right here while this installs because it could take a second or two. Alright, so it looks like my guest editions has finally successfully been installed. So now I want to reboot. So reboot. We're going to hit enter. Reboot the operating system. Again, sometimes it takes a second or two for everything to shut down. Alright, now I'm rebooting. Now I'm not quite done yet. Once this boots up, then I'm going to shut it down and then create a snapshot so that I can always go back to that snapshot later on in the year if I have any problems. So my username is root, my password, type that in. Now usually Linux is a fairly light operating system, but Kali Linux has so many things loaded onto it, it does take a little bit of time to load, so you just have to be patient with it and always kind of be looking down here at this hard drive monitor. When you see it going nuts with the green and red flashes, just be patient with it. Don't really give it a lot of commands or do a lot of things because you can tell the computer's busy booting everything up and doing its own thing right now. Okay, so now that I have that done, I'm going to click on right here. I'm going to click on my power button and I'm going to go ahead and hit power off. And again, powering off can take a second with Kali Linux. Alright, and it has powered off. So now that it's powered off, I need to take another snapshot. So again, I'm on snapshots right here. If you're not on snapshots, you just click on machine tools, click on snapshots. Now we're going to take another snapshot and we're going to call this after updates and guest editions install. And then I hit OK. So you notice now we have another snapshot right there. So we could go all the way back to just the point at which right after we installed the operating system, or now we have this one, we can go back to right after updates and guest editions. So that's perfect. All right, the video is done. Now you've successfully installed Kali Linux and updated it and installed guest editions. Good job.